Hello and welcome to today's video. My name's Haley and today we're talking about the 26th gene key called Sacred Tricksters. I think that name is pretty funny. Today's video is about the shadow frequency of pride, which will be part 1 of 2 because usually I have a lot to say about the shadow frequencies. And then after pride we'll get into the gift of artfulness and eventually the acidic state of invisibility. It's a weird trajectory, right? Pride to artfulness to invisibility. This is the thing about a lot of these gene keys is they don't look necessarily interconnected, and I have a feeling this is Richard Rudd's poetic way of reminding us that this is not a linear or sequential process, although of course in order for our minds to grasp any concept it needs to be put like so. Yeah, definitely for me it's hard to see how pride could become artfulness, which could become invisibility, but I guess that's what this whole chapter and deep dive is for. Okay, and I got to show you guys this little drawing right here. So they drew this and then it's supposed to be a heart. And this is because the first time I read this chapter, or first time I annotated it, I should say, I usually read it through once or twice and then go back through and make all these crazy notes and then make this video. So the first time I was annotating this chapter, I had just hurt my arm, which if you're not familiar with, I broke my clavicle last April, which was very hard for me. And I remember I couldn't write for the first few weeks, hence the reason it looks like a child has written the word core and heart here. I actually wrote both of these. A child actually made this though. And so I'm sitting in a cafe and I'm getting a little bit frustrated because if you've ever tried to write with your non-dominant hand, or do anything with your non-dominant hand for that matter, you know just how frustrating it is to get anywhere at an ample speed. So I'm very slowly trying to annotate and take notes, getting kind of aggravated, and then it's bringing up feelings about, I can't believe I fell off that bike, you know, just all this annoyingness coming up. And this kid comes over to me, and I don't know if it's because he sensed that I was feeling kind of bad, but he comes over and he goes, "Excuse me, miss, can I sit here?" And I'm sitting at a small round table with just myself and my book, and there's a seat across from me. And I'm like, sure. And he's adorable. He's like this little 5-year-old, so sweet. And then he asked me, "So what happened to your arm?" And I tell him, and he's just very curious. "So what are you reading? What is it about?" Like, it's as if this kid had the emotional intelligence level of at least a 10-year-old. And once he found out that I had fallen off the bike and broken my arm, or my clavicle, I mean, he started to feel truly empathetic for me. I could feel him feeling my pain. And he goes, "Wait here 1 second." And he like goes somewhere, and then he brings back his sister, and they were just so sweet to me. And they ended up giving me this sea glass that they had found at the beach. This like green sea glass. And I remember him telling me, "These are crystals and they're gonna heal you," or just like something very cute like this. And then his 4-year-old sister, or maybe she was even 3, she came over and she started touching my arm and saying, "Heal you." And it was just like such a precious moment. And she was the one who ended up drawing this for me, and it's supposed to be a heart to help me heal. So that was a very healing experience for me, and I left that cafe feeling like the luckiest girl in the world that 2 adorable children had just blessed me and given me sea glass and drawn me a picture and cared about me. So anyways, yeah, that makes me smile seeing that and remembering that little story. And I know this is a little off track from the 26 gene key, but I do have to say that in addition to physical health, emotional health is so important and can be gifted and received through simple things like drawing a photo or giving someone sea glass, or even just caring enough to sit down and talk to someone whether you know them or not for 5 minutes. And of course this innocence was amplified through it being children that were caring enough to sit with me and give me things and say sweet affirmations of love. But yeah, just a reminder, it's actually really easy to make someone's day, and it can only take a few minutes. of genuine interest to change the trajectory of someone's whole day, which might even change the trajectory of their week. I know that totally changed my week and even kind of the way I viewed this injury. So yeah, maybe make that a little activity. Go see if you can sparkle someone's day up with some sea glass or nice words. Getting into the gene key now. This gene key is interesting. I find it ironic that I read Sacred Tricksters as I feel, being very sacredly tricked with this injury. He opens up with talking about the prominence of the sun. The ultraviolet frequencies within sunlight catalyze your body to produce vitamin D. And this is a vital component for your health. If you didn't know that, there you go. Although I'm pretty sure most of us know that. Light contains many such catalytic codes within its spectrum that determine not just physical health, but also emotional, mental, and ultimately spiritual well-being. It's interesting because I just opened up this chapter talking about the importance of health, physical and emotional. And keep in mind, guys, I read this twice through, I annotate it once or twice, and then I move on. And then as time comes for me to make whatever video I'm making, I haven't looked at this chapter for months. So that's actually a funny synchronicity right there. So light, he's implying here, has codes that can bring about physical, mental, and emotional healing. Light has power that you as a human being can wield to consciously and unconsciously raise or lower the frequency. You can change your reality depending on what you do with the light that you expose yourself to. So this is interesting, right? Because how many of us expose ourselves to light unconsciously? We all do. Every day when we wake up, it's not like, for the most part, I would assume all of us are not like, I'm gonna go consciously step outside and expose myself to light, right? Sometimes we just rush out of the door on the way to work and are exposed to light as a byproduct of it being sunny outside. So when you consciously do this practice, you can hold in mind the benefit of the light, and knowledge is power, meaning the more aware of it you are, the more it works for you. So that's something interesting to note here. But of course, unconscious exposure to light is still way better than no exposure at all. But the more awareness you bring to the tool, the more the tool will bring to you. And again, the reason I would want to even become aware of the healing power of light is because it can quite literally change the trajectory of, he goes as far to say, your DNA, and I'm going to reframe that to say your reality, because I think it sounds a little less woo-woo. But I guess he's right too, right? As science has proven, sunlight, vitamin D, it does influence your biology to a certain degree. So at the lower level of frequencies, and the shadow frequency we're talking about here today is pride, ultimately we're governed by fear. So call it pride, call it fear, call it anger, call it lust. All of these ultimately are coming off of the foundation of fear, which of course is based on individual survival. This 26 gene key as a whole has to do with utilizing light waves via the medium of the individual will, the individual awareness. This entire gene key, you guys, is about how to utilize light. Through your willpower, you can bend light and turn it to your advantage. Whoa, 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 whoa. I read that and I was like, hold the phone, Richard Rudd. Let's not get too woo-woo here. But usually when he throws something kind of whack like this at me, I'm like, okay, let me give him the benefit of the doubt, keep reading, and of course keep my analytical mind on. Because by no means am I going to willy-nilly just subscribe to everything in this big blue book because I like this book. And neither should you watching just, completely turn your brain off and accept everything I'm saying. Every single thing you hear, whether it's from Richard Rudd, me, anyone else, you should really be asking your own soul, does this resonate with me? And do I believe it? And be open to the fact that that could change over time, of course. But nonetheless, you want to make up your own mind. So as he says this, through your willpower, you can bend light and turn it to your advantage. My little alarm bells go off and I go, we'll see about that. I'm going to table that. And I keep reading. This gene key has a great deal to do with the correct and harmonious use of will. There is a huge conditioning field on this planet telling you that nothing will ever come into your life unless you reach out and grab it. Which of course is false, right? If you who's watching has ever familiarized yourself with a meditation practice or going into the field or manifestation, more new age techniques, then you know just how possible it is to actually attain something without real raw work in the 3D. But of course, society has programmed us to think that we have to move through time and space, work hard through force to get what we want. So what he's getting at here is that secretly, what they don't want you to know is that you can collapse the space-time continuum to bring what you want to you, right? Instead of working really hard to get the perfect body and the perfect job in order to attract the perfect partner, or go to work every day to make enough money to get the car you want, you can collapse these space-time continuum situation, the field, the void, whatever you want to call it, and draw that thing right to you. Now, I'm not a new age spiritual teacher. I have my various own opinions on manifestation, and I currently don't utilize these techniques. That's a topic for another discussion. But nonetheless, he's saying that there is an option to attract things to you that does not require moving through space and time. And actually, it's when the person acts out of fear in order to control their life and attract what they want through hard will, that you actually pit your individual will against the whole. Right? When I selfishly am, I'll just use me for an example in the past. When I was selfishly trying to control the way my body looked, because I really thought I needed that in order to have a successful modeling career, therefore make money, be happy, have all the things I want, I was not trusting the easy flow of life. And I was pitting my individual will against the whole, meaning I was acting out of service to self. No one was benefiting from me neglecting my health, including myself. And just to tie this all back together, me at the time was like, well, of course it's not natural and easy and flowing of life. And this is because I had a preference that I wasn't willing to let go of at the time, which is, no, I need to look this certain way because I need to be a model. I need to make all this money and I need to have these things. And so when he says here, there's a natural and easy flow to life, this doesn't necessarily always align with the own person's egoic goal, right? Clearly, there's no natural and easy way to be extremely thin while also being happy and working like a dog. So what divine will sees as easy, natural flowing might be different than the individual separated self's egoic will. And of course, coming to terms with this is something that slowly trickles along as a person enters a gift frequency. But as long as that dissonance is there, the person will continue to act out of fear and try and control their life in order to get the outcome that they think they need to have. And they will continue to pit themselves against the whole. They will continue to act out of alignment with what is natural and easy and effortless. So again, drawing back to our example, For me, what is truly natural, easy, and effortless that I now realize, and of course I'm always ever stepping into more realization of, is, oh, this is the size I'm supposed to be. I'm not supposed to be like this, so I guess I wasn't supposed to model at that size, even though back then that's what I really, really, really wanted and really, really thought I needed. Now I realize, it's not God's plan. So anyways, that was just an example of what he's talking about here, since I feel like it's getting a little bit too conceptual. And sometimes it's nice to draw and ground it down into a real life example that someone like you or I can tangibly grasp. Luckily, I have many examples from my own life to draw from. So as you continue, let's just say, if you are operating in this shadow frequency of pride, as you continue to pit yourself against the whole, act in accord to service to self, have egoic desires that are not natural, not easy, not flowy, not effortless, as you continue to try to control and morph life to your will, you start to develop this thing called pride. And this is the name of the shadow frequency, right? Pride. Pride begins to rule your life. You quite literally start to think, oh, I'm in control. This is my show. It's my way or the highway. And the thing about pride is that someone with lots of pride has lots of willpower. And this is interesting, right? Because, of course, we want to think about willpower only in terms of light. But someone can have a very strong will and be operating a shadow frequency. Once again, I speak from experience. And the only difference is that eventually the person operating in the shadow frequency that has a very strong will eventually burn out because there's nothing to sustain it or feed it. Whereas if you have a strong willpower and you're in the light, for instance, you have a strong will, a strong desire to teach other women how to be the most, best, brightest versions of themselves. The more you act on that will, the more it quite literally gives back to you in the form of gratitude, monetary value perhaps, a change of perception, a feeling of lightness and energy and vitality. So see the difference here? Someone who has a strong will, who's acting in the light, is doing things that feed back to them. They're giving, therefore they're receiving. Whereas a person with a really, really, really strong will, aka I need to control life, in the shadow frequency, is not giving anything. If anything, they're only taking or calculating or manipulating. Therefore, eventually, this energy will drain out of the system. But until it does, it's called pride. A strong shadow frequency will. So let's talk about what will is again. Because I briefly described it there, but I like the definition he provides. He says, the power of will is a magical power. It is quite literally your ability to harness the power of light and project it through the body as action, thought, and words. So he's finally connecting this part one piece about light to willpower. So remember that sentence earlier that I was like, I don't know about that, where he says it has to do with utilizing light waves via the medium of the individual will. So here he ties it together. He says that will is your ability to harness the power of light. Again, light we can sub with the word consciousness, if that's easier to understand, or awareness. Let's use awareness. All right, I had to move inside because the mosquitoes were getting me. But as I was saying, let's see. Yes. So I'm going to reread that sentence and instead sub the word light with awareness, because essentially they're the same thing, and I think it makes it a lot easier for us to start to conceptually grasp and then start to practice, of course. So will is quite literally your ability to harness the power of awareness and project it through the body as action, thought, and words. So let's look at this through the lens of what willpower looks like, again, through the shadow frequency, and then what willpower looks like through light, or gift, or citic state frequency, you could say. Using your power, harnessing your power of awareness. This means taking actions on purpose, taking thoughts on purpose, and taking words on purpose. Very simply put, you can do actions on purpose that are destructive. You can say things on purpose that you know are hurtful, manipulative, or going to bend things to your favor. You can think thoughts that purposefully, egoically serve your own selfish manifestations. And then inversely, right, to use will in the gift frequency sense or citic state sense, you could harness your power of awareness, your choice, to choose actions that are loving, to do things that are service to others, giving. You could think thoughts that serve the whole, not only yourself. And finally, you could utilize the power of your word to speak kindness, spread love, and joy. So cheesy, right? But so true. So you have these options, and every single time you consciously do either shadow or gift, you're making a choice, and this is what your willpower is. So see how it can be flexed or bent either way. And once again, as we discussed earlier, when you use your willpower consciously for something higher, for service to others, for love, for joy, for peace, you are giving that, and it's going to come right back to you and give you more energy. Whereas when you use your willpower for the purpose of service to self, more egoic manifestations, or things that don't benefit and are not healthy, you're taking. This is not something that's going to actually fulfill you and bring you long-lasting peace and happiness. And so one thing I want to say here is, for instance, if you have a desire to have a red convertible, let's say, okay, obviously that's more on this spectrum, right? It's service to self, unless of course you have this grand scheme about how you're going to use the red convertible to give people rides that have always wanted to drive in a red convertible. But for the purpose of this example, let's say it's purely, no, I just want a red convertible. There's nothing wrong with this, of course, right? We all have desires, some of which are more selfish, you could say, and just 'cause. And so if you have a desire like this, it's just understanding that it's probably not going to give you what you're actually looking for, because it's not rooted in love. It's not rooted in service to others. So ultimately, one day, even if it's after you fulfill the desire, you will find out, I still don't feel fulfilled. Well, now I want a blue convertible, right? And then it shifts. So I don't want to demonize desire here. That's not what I'm trying to do. What I'm trying to emphasize is that when you act from the shadow frequency, you are taking, and you're not going to ever actually get what you want because you're not giving anything, therefore you can't actually receive anything. And what we all actually want is to receive happiness, joy, peace, love, all this stuff. And of course, sometimes our ego tries to tell us, no, trust me, you want the red convertible. And I mean, in my own experience, I have found that sometimes I can sit here and be like, you know what? I'm going to let go of my whatever egoic desire to take a trip to Tahiti, and I'm just going to remember that it's all inside of me, and like, yeah, peace, love. And then other times I'm like, you know what? No, I really just want a coffee. And logically I could sit here and be like, yeah, but I know it's all inside of me. I don't actually need the desire, but then I still choose to go and act on the desire. So again, there's no right or wrong about this. Just, again, bringing the awareness to when I take an action, is it going to sustainably fulfill me or not? And even if the answer is no, it doesn't mean you shouldn't take the action. It's just having the awareness that this is not actually going to give me what I actually want. The caffeine high might feel really good for 5 minutes, but then after it runs out, I'm still going to really want a long-lasting energy and happiness and peace. And so I just want to say all that. Hopefully that makes sense. Because I by no means want to say, don't act out your desires. Like, I fully act out plenty of my desires that are only service to self. But also, I would say now I've brought a lot of awareness to consciously, right, using the power of my will, consciously taking actions, thinking thoughts, and saying words that serve others. Because the craziest thing about this, you guys, is when you start to do this, you actually start to viscerally feel in your body, mind, and spirit the reception, the gratitude, the love, the peace, and it's an upward momentum that makes you want to keep doing it. So that's my little spiel on that. Wow, lots of notes. I'm gonna end it right there because I feel like that's a good stopping point. And as per usual, there will be a part 2 to discussing the shadow frequency of pride. So stay tuned for that. Oh, and actually before we go, here's a contemplation for you all. What do I currently do that is more pride-based, service to self, taking? What actions, thoughts, and words? And then inversely, where am I currently utilizing and harnessing the power of my awareness, my will, to take part in actions, words, and thoughts that are service to others, that are truly loving, that are humilious, right? A genuine preferring of others. Just brainstorm these out. And then I challenge you just how that baby made my absolute day. Both of those babies made my absolute day with this picture. Can you take an action, think a thought, or say some words to another that will serve them, that will make them feel better, or will help them experience a little bit more love than they currently already are? I'll see you guys in the next video. Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another Gene Keys video with me. If you're interested in working one-on-one together, feel free to email me. It's in the description box below. We can work together on reading your Gene Keys, which I just started doing for people, which is really exciting. I also offer one-to-one coaching where we can meet together to work through insecurities, blockages that you have, and just really stepping into the best, brightest version of yourself. So I look forward to hearing from you guys, and I'll catch you in the next video.